All right, this question says to find two positive and two negative coterminal angles for 3 pi over 4. Now, when we are thinking about a coterminal angle, what that means is if we have an angle 3 pi over 4, it's in this position. Okay, so a coterminal angle is going to be an angle that starts at the same initial side, but rotates around and ends up at the exact same position. So what we're doing is we're going to add an entire rotation around the circle. Now, because 3 pi over 4 is in radians, what we're going to do is when we add the entire rotation of the circle, we're going to add 2 pi to 3 pi over 4. So adding 2 pi to 3 pi over 4 is going to be one rotation around the circle. If we add an additional copy around the circle, we're going to add an additional 2 pi, and so on and so forth. So what we could do is, to get as many positive coterminal angles as we would want, we would just keep adding copies of 2 pi. Similarly, if we want negative coterminal angles, well, we're going to start in the same position, but now we're going to rotate in the clockwise direction. That's supposed to be an arrow. Let's try that again. So we're going to end up in that same position. Okay, so instead of adding copies of 2 pi, we're going to subtract copies of 2 pi. So in other words, we're going to keep adding and subtracting copies of 2 pi in order to get the coterminal angles. All right, so when we add 2 pi to 3 pi over 4, well, we're just adding fractions, so we need a common denominator. This is going to be the same thing as, instead of 2 pi over 1, I'm going to get a common denominator of 4, so multiply the top and bottom by 4. I'm going to get 8 pi over 4, so that's 11 pi over 4, so that would be one positive coterminal angle. If I take 11 pi over 4 and add 2 pi again, well, that's just 8 pi over 4 with a common denominator. I'm going to have 19 pi over 4. Okay, and then if I want negative coterminal angles, I'm going to start at 3 pi over 4 and simply subtract 8 pi over 4. This is going to be negative 5 pi over 4, and then start at negative 5 pi over 4 and subtract another 2 pi. And we end up with negative 13 pi over 4. So these two angles would be the positive coterminal angles. These two would be the negative coterminal angles.